All right, everyone. I think we're going to get started. Thank you very much for being here. Good morning, and thank you for joining us here. We're at the Energy Resource Center here in Downey, California. And thanks to all the virtual attendees joining us through Teams. Welcome to the SoCalGas Research, Development, and Demonstration 2025 Public Workshop. My name is Ethan Simonoff, and I'm a Technology Development Project Manager working in the RD&D team. For those of you in the audience here today at the ERC, please remember to mute your cell phones. I'll be getting us started this morning by covering some general housekeeping information and giving an introduction to the SoCalGas RD&D program. Before we begin the presentation, a few notes about how this session will be structured and how we aim to collect feedback both during and after the workshop. First, Heather Gordon will be emailing out a link to download the PDF version of today's slides in just a moment and sharing that with you in the Teams chat. A recording of today's workshop will also become available in the coming weeks. We will be pausing at the end of each session today to gather comments and answer any questions from the audience related to the session material. We will also reserve time at the end of the workshop for any additional comments or questions about the RD&D program. In addition, we encourage all attendees to submit written comments after the workshop. These can be submitted via email to rddinfo@socalgas.com. Please ensure all comments are submitted by 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time on Monday, May 12th, which is 2 weeks from now. For those of you joining virtually, I'd like to briefly go over how to submit questions using the Teams platform. At the top of your screen, you should see several icons, including the Q&A icon. If you click on this Q&A icon, a new window should pop up that looks like the one currently on the right side of the slide. You can use the text box or click on Ask a Question at any time during today's presentation to submit your questions. We will try to respond to all questions we receive during the time we have set aside for Q&A. For people in the audience here in Downey, we have provided microphones that look like this. During the Q&A time, please raise your hand if you have a comment or question. We will call on you and ask you to unmute yourself using the push button on the microphone, and the color should change from red to green. Please identify yourself with your name and your organization. Please try and keep your questions related to the content of this presentation. We will not be able to answer any questions outside of the scope of the content presented today. Once you have asked your question, please mute the microphone again. We have a lot of information we'd like to share with you today, and we'll be doing our best to keep to the schedule listed here. I'm joined today by several of my colleagues representing a portion of the SoCalGas RD&D team. You'll be hearing from them throughout the day. Safety is a critical element to ensuring new technologies can be successful. It's also a very important part of company culture here at SoCalGas. Before we launch into the workshop content, we'd like to take a moment to think about safety. Did you know that eye strain caused by screens has its own name? Since we'll all be at our computers for the next few hours, let's review some of the symptoms of eye strain. To help prevent eye strain, we recommend practicing the 20-20-20 exercise. Some of the symptoms of eye strain include dry eyes, watery eyes, blurred vision, double vision, headaches, in the back, shoulders or neck, sensitivity to light, or trouble concentrating. The 20-20 exercise is as follows. Every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for at least 20 seconds. This strategy can help to reduce eye strain from computers and other digital devices and help support good eye hygiene. Next, I'll be giving a very high-level overview of SoCalGas and the SoCalGas RD&D program. SoCalGas is one of the largest natural gas distribution utilities in the US. We deliver approximately 1 trillion cubic feet of natural gas each year, representing about 5% of all US gas deliveries to over 21 million customers. We deliver that gas using 100,000 miles of pipeline through a territory that spans 24,000 square miles, covering 12 counties, 10 air quality districts, including some that are classified as extreme for certain pollutants. Within that territory, we serve over 500 communities, including 2 of the busiest ports in the nation. SoCalGas RD&D, Research, Development, and Demonstration, is a program authorized by the California Public Utilities Commission. Its goal is to fund research, develop new technologies that benefit our ratepayers by improving energy affordability, increasing safety and reliability, improving local air quality, and/or reducing greenhouse gas emissions. We have identified 3 key values that inform how we select projects and what research we support. These are science, synergy, and equity. For science, our team is seeking answers to some of today's most pressing energy questions. Synergy, we work with amazing researchers in California, across the US, and in some instances internationally. And equity, our work supports affordable access to clean, safe, and reliable energy for all Californians. In addition, there are several key regulatory and policy drivers that help dictate how we prioritize research initiatives. A few of these are listed on the slide. These include California Public Utilities Commission decisions that direct the utility to research to reach annual procurement targets for renewable natural gas. It also includes state legislation that aims to reduce short-lived climate pollutants. There are many other drivers that we take into consideration, and you'll hear about those more specifically during the presentation, but many of them broadly aim to create pathways for the development of equitable, reliable, safe, and clean energy systems. RD&D focuses on 6 core customer benefits. Every project we conduct supports at least one of these benefits, and most projects support multiple benefits for our ratepayers. These are improved affordability, improved air quality, operational efficiency, reduced GHG emissions, reliability, and safety. Next, I'll be handing it over to Eric Coene, who will be giving us an overview of SoCalGas RD&D's activities during 2024.
Excuse me.
All right. Thanks, Ethan. Much appreciated. Glad to see everybody show up today. It's a good turnout. I'm glad you came here on a Monday. It's really important for us to see you guys here, so I appreciate it. We're hoping for a nice interactive workshop today. My name is Eric Coene. I am a group manager within SoCalGas's RD&D program. As Ethan mentioned, I'll discuss some of our program's 2024 accomplishments. Then I'll discuss how we think about individual research projects and conclude with an overview of our upcoming research plan. In 2024, RD&D supported RD&D provided $9.8 million to support 226 active research projects. This funding facilitated the initiation of 42 new projects and the completion of 70 ongoing projects. Here is more detailed breakdown of the funds we expended by program area. When you take into consideration program administration, in total, RD&D spent $12.1 million across our project portfolio. In addition to the funding we provide to our projects, seeking and securing external funding is a crucial aspect of our program. Co-funding not only enables us to undertake larger and more impactful projects, it also serves as an essential risk mitigation tool. Across our portfolio, our projects have secured $309 million in co-funding from project partners and grants awarded by federal and state agencies. Furthermore, in 2024, we successfully added to this total by securing an additional $14.4 million in grants from California Energy Commission and the Department of Energy. With this in mind, RD&D achieved an average leverage ratio of 7.1 times, meaning on average, for every dollar we provided to a research project, the project received an additional $7.10 in funding from other agencies, utilities, or our project partners. And while securing external funding is a crucial aspect of our work, sharing the results of our projects is equally important. Nationwide, 15 of our projects were showcased at industry events such as the Department of Energy's Hydrogen Program Annual Merit Review and Cleantech Forum North America. In addition, 32 projects were featured in articles, reports, or technology briefs. And beyond sharing, from a commercialization perspective, our projects have successfully attracted significant new investment. In 2024, our alumni companies collectively secured $860 million in funding from third-party investors. This achievement underscores the value of our program in identifying and nurturing promising companies and technologies and positioning them for successful commercialization. As these innovations are deployed, they will benefit our ratepayers, California, and beyond. Speaking of benefits, most of our projects are designed with benefits in mind, and many, if not most, offer multiple benefits. Of the 226 projects active in 2024, 42% of them focused on improving affordability, 52% were designed to improve air quality, 49% increased operational efficiency, 64% focused on reducing greenhouse gas emissions, 61% aimed at improving reliability, and 55% sought to enhance safety. SoCalGas believes that increasing our diverse supplier base is critical to our mission of delivering safe and reliable and affordable energy to our customers. Collaborating with culturally and ethnically diverse business owners is not only a key component of our corporate strategy, but also brings significant benefits to our suppliers and the local community. In 2024, SoCalGas spent over $1 billion with diverse firms, working with 608 diverse suppliers. This represents about 45% of the total purchases the company made in 2024. The RD&D team, for its part, supported 41 projects in environmental and social justice communities and engaged in several activities aimed at nurturing the next generation of innovators. One such initiative was the Oakville Science Camp, where SoCalGas RD&D and graduate students from the University of California, Irvine's Clean Energy Institute hosted approximately 30 pre-K to sixth grade students for an afternoon of exciting science experiments, including water electrolysis and solar-powered fans. Connecting with the research community and sharing the results of our work are vital to our team. We endeavor to make the results of our work available to the public. Throughout the year, we disseminate information through various channels, including our quarterly newsletters, website, annual workshop, research webinars, publications, events. We have a dedicated YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and we have recently been uploading reports and papers to zenodo.org. These platforms allow us to provide updates on our activities, news about our projects, share information on funding and grant opportunities, and if you're active on LinkedIn, we highly recommend you follow our account to stay informed. Now, before getting into how we developed our research plan, I first want to take a few moments to discuss how we think about projects. Our program is designed to complement and supplement research funded by government agencies, industries, and the investment community. To build a robust research project, our staff consider multiple factors, including regulatory and policy drivers, stakeholder input, ratepayer needs, and our subject matter expertise. Our team adopts an agile approach to project selection, enabling us to move swiftly and respond to funding opportunities or shifts in the research landscape. As a commercialization partner for industry, our team focuses on transitioning technology from the lab to market. We believe that partnering is essential to ensure our work complements rather than competes with or duplicates the efforts of other researchers. Finally, our team leverages diverse funding sources. When opportunities arise, the team excels at forming strong collaborations to pursue funding that maximizes our resources. But we can't really do all this alone. Our program is a vital component of a broader technology funding ecosystem. Our staff collaborates with leading industry professionals, subject matter experts, universities, national labs, and businesses to maximize the impact of our investments in promising technologies and products with high commercialization potential. These relationships enable us to effectively identify and close knowledge research gaps, avoid duplication of previous and ongoing research, and mitigate technical, economic, and commercialization risks. It's through these collaborations, information and concepts are exchanged, project partnerships are developed, and public and private funding opportunities are actively pursued. We welcome the opportunity to collaborate with new research partners, particularly those from diverse academic populations at universities and colleges that serve first-generation students and students from environmental and social justice communities. When we identify promising projects and evaluate them for potential funding, our staff takes a comprehensive approach that allows us for agility as research opportunities ramp up or down. When we identify project concepts through a number of pathways, including working with our own operations teams to identify technology gaps or needs, we engage with the research community through public forums like today's workshop, and by coordinating with other utilities and research groups through our participation in consortia. We seek projects that are in alignment with our program initiatives in our research areas. They meet as many evaluation criteria as possible, provide one or more ratepayer benefits, are in alignment with California policy and its objectives, and also critically, advance the state of the art. With the encouragement from the CPUC, several members of the RD&D team participated in the EPIC Uniform Impact Analysis Framework workshop. The goal of the framework is to develop a uniform set of metrics and assumptions and methodologies to measure the benefits of a research project investment in the mid, near, and long-term timeframes. We evaluated the metrics proposed by EPIC, a few of which are listed here on the slide, and we will include and track these metrics as well as others in our future research projects. We look forward to continue working with and collaborating with the EPIC team and the CPUC and the next stages of their framework's development as articulated by the CPUC's Energy Division staff in their proposal identifying strategic objectives and criteria to guide the EPIC program. Now I'll provide an overview of our 2024 to 2025 research plan. For 2024 and 2025, we are seeking to advance promising pre-commercial technologies not otherwise supported by competitive or regulated markets. We have proposed a refreshed program structure that spans a 24-month research cycle and a corresponding 24-month project initiation window. There's an increased focus on alignment with CPUC proceedings and direct ratepayer benefits. We have conducted more outreach and engagement with stakeholder groups, including the establishment of an Environmental and Social Justice Advisory Panel, while also increasing engagement with all California Gas RD&D administrators to enhance project complementarity while minimizing the potential for unnecessarily duplicative research. So new for 2024, as I just mentioned, we established an Environmental and Social Justice Advisory Panel to advise and provide feedback on the design and direction of our research plan development so as to better ensure alignment with the community's priorities as they pertain to clean energy and pollution reduction goals. We assembled a broad list of stakeholders, about 95 organizations, to solicit interest and participate in this workshop. In early April, we held introductory meetings with the interested parties and provided a high-level overview of the workshop, time commitment, and subject matter. 7 stakeholders volunteered to participate in our panel, and collectively, they represent each major region of our service territory. After that, we provided a much more detailed briefing of this upcoming workshop. I'm glad to see that some of our members of our panel were able to make it here today, and I also welcome those attending virtually. We very much appreciate your participation and feedback. Additionally, we briefed the CPUC's Disadvantaged Community Advisory Group in their recent April 18th meeting. Both panels have thus far provided feedback, verbal feedback, which we've incorporated into our research plan, and both may submit additional written feedback in the coming weeks. We also held several outreach meetings with representatives from 12 organizations spanning the breadth of the natural gas RD&D ecosystem, such as the California Energy Commission, NREL, South Coast Air Quality Management District, and the Department of Energy, as well as from 9 representatives from departments within SoCalGas, the purpose of which was to gather input for use in our plan on the research priorities our team should undertake that would most benefit our ratepayers. The word cloud displayed here is a summarized depiction of the most pressing needs in research and development as articulated by our stakeholders. The larger words in the word cloud represent the research needs that were most often cited in our outreach campaign. This year, hydrogen was most cited, followed by hydrogen blends and safety. Also of high importance was community engagement, research consortia, and carbon management. Based on feedback received to date, we redesigned our research plan structure to both align with the CPUC's research themes and to tighten the scope of our upstream and downstream programs. So for 2024 and 2025, our research plan is divided into 3 programs, which can be further subdivided into 9 initiatives that span the entire, or most of, the entire energy delivery value chain. The programs are gas operations, decarbonized gas supply, and innovative energy utilization. Our program managers will get into the details of each of these programs and initiatives in a moment. Lastly, here's our proposed 24 and 25 research plan budget by program area. Here you can see that gas operations represents 26% of the budget, decarbonized gas supply and innovative energy utilization account for 31% each, program administration is 10%, and the 2 CPUC managed projects represent about 2% of our budget. Those 2 projects managed by the CPUC were ordered by them in our resolution G3601 and relate to the creation of a common RD&D database and for a comprehensive program evaluation of our program. All right, well, before I turn it over to Mr. Mike Morgando, we set aside a few minutes in case anyone has any questions. Can you?
Thank you, Heather. There's a question from the Q&A chat, and it is, how has the current administration policies and regulatory changes impacted SoCalGas's emissions reduction initiatives, R&D projects, and overall sustainability strategy? Have these shifts created any new challenges or opportunities for advancing innovation? Probably answer the question related to the R&D project.
Want to take a shot at that? Yeah, can you repeat it again? I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
I imagine, yeah. Probably.
Well, I think right now there's probably a little bit more. Well, I think there needs to probably be a little bit more definition in terms of how we design our projects on a go-forward basis to both meet the current federal policy as well as state policy. So there may be some conflicts there. So we're going to be working closely with our regulators as well as our internal folks to design projects to make sure that we can find a path forward through both policy. Anywhere there's a policy difference, we want to make sure we try to come up with a process that we can, try to hit everybody and make it happy, make everybody as happy as we can.
Any challenges or opportunities for advancing?
I think so. I mean, especially when you think about, well, I mean, there's this, you can take this question in a number of places, and this is all very politically charged. So I want to be careful not to get trapped in a question here. But anytime that there is a change in policy, I do think that provides opportunity for us to look in new places. So if the federal administration, for example, de-emphasizes certain technologies, well, that opens the door, I guess, for shifting to other technologies that are potentially more favored. The thing that we have to think about as a utility and as an RD&D program is working it for the long haul. So we have to obviously navigate the current sort of near-term issues, but we always have to have an eye to the future because infrastructure are 20, 30, 40-year assets. So we need to find common ground and find those projects that will meet the needs of our ratepayers today and into the future.
Thank you. There's another question coming up. Within the budget, how many projects are planned for CPUC theme? Or typically, how many dollars per project?
It's a good question. It really depends on the landscape of opportunities as they unfold. So as we're developing our program, we do, as I mentioned, we have spoken to a number of research organizations. So we have a sense for what is available to research in the upcoming years. And then as we think about program design and the size of a project, we take that into consideration. So it's a difficult question to answer, but we generally are looking in sort of at the high level outside of research consortia, anywhere between 10 and 15 projects per program per year.
How Socogas manages the risk of projects at low TRL? What is the overall successful deployment?
Move from low TRL to high TRL it takes some time, right? So we generally, I would say, given the size of our program, and this is not exclusive, but we generally do, for the most part, most of our projects, I'll say, are in the TRL 4 to TRL 7. We do participate in projects that are later stage, closer to commercialization. Those projects are generally larger and generally would consume a much larger percentage of our budget. So in terms of value and in terms of where we think we can provide the most impact and be most beneficial to our ratepayers, we generally find the 4 to 7 is probably the most ideal for us. We do also look at earlier stage research as well. That's more speculative, generally speaking, but we find that doing more basic research is important to advance the field as a whole.
Thank you.
They're having trouble hearing the questions online, so while we work through it, if you can just repeat the question.
Heard me too?
Your mic's a little low.
He can't hear the questions here. I'm going to give them.
Thank you. We have Jay Leboff raised hand. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question? Oh, okay. No problem.
Please.
Hi, Michael Burns with California Greenworks. In the previous rounds projects, can you highlight maybe the most ESG forward?
ESG forward project? You want to do that one?
So just in general, as part of our project development process, we try to incorporate an ESG component into all of our projects. One highlight that I think is interesting, and I think I mentioned it later on in the presentation, but we're working with the California Energy Commission to test and demonstrate some advanced window retrofits. So inserts to improve the energy efficiency of windows for commercial buildings. As part of that project, which does not occur in an ESG community, we developed a component to the project of a case study looking at a nearby ESG community to try to assess the benefits to the community members if that technology were widely deployed within that community. So try to come up with a specific spot in the neighborhood, assess the number of buildings, how many windows we could potentially retrofit, what the energy savings would be, what the emissions reductions within the community would be.
Thank you. This concerns the Scattergood modernization project, units 1 and 2. I'm wondering what a realistic time frame may be for clearing all the logistics and permitting and all that kind of stuff to get the infrastructure in place to get them online with the 30% hydrogen blend that's been reported, LA City Council and on and on and on. It seems that they're on track to get those units upgraded and modernized with the advanced turbines with lower emissions, as is running just basically natural gas. But part of the plan advertises that it's going to be able to run up to a 30% hydrogen blend, and yet we haven't seen a coherent plan for delivery of said hydrogen to that facility in that location in El Segundo, that to see that could ever be, could actually come online as such. So I'm wondering what the real time frame is going to be when we can expect that.
Unfortunately, that's beyond the scope of this particular discussion. I'm familiar with the project that you're discussing, but in terms of LADWP's plan for procuring hydrogen, where they're planning on storing it, how they're planning on, or when they're planning on powering up that unit, unfortunately, it's outside of the scope.
Or San Pedro. But there's no pipe.
And we're going to keep the discussion to just the research here today and the presentation material. I don't have an answer for you, unfortunately. I don't know if our business development folks have a better sense.
I would just say the power sector is contemplated as a potential end user to the Angeles Link project. That's considered in a different proceeding. We're currently in phase 2 for that. And you can find, we have a ton of studies that we did in phase 1 that looked at potential end users and what that infrastructure could look like. And potential routes. So that is all publicly available on the SoCalGas website through Angeles Link.
Do we have any other questions in the room?
We'll have an opportunity a little later on as well if there's more questions. Okay.
And just a reminder, when you ask questions, give your name and organization as well. Thank you.
Okay.
I have one more question in terms of benefit quantifications from the chat.
Okay.
How do we work with benefit quantifications?
How do we work with benefit quantifications? Well, each project has a goal that it is trying to undertake, right? So if it is to, as an example, develop a technology that's going to reduce emissions, there's a baseline that is established. There's a target that the project is looking to hit, and then we measure progress as that project is developed and deployed and tested, and to see whether or not that benefit that we invested in is actually realized. And then we can then take that information and extrapolate it in terms of, well, what is the potential benefit to society, to our ratepayers, et cetera. And that's where this framework comes into play. What the CPUC, or I should say the CEC and EPIC are trying to do is come up with a uniform way so that all RD&D administrators can answer that question in a way that's coherent across all the different RD&D programs. So that's in progress. Right now, those benefits, again, are quantified at the project level. To the extent that that project is completed, we've got a research paper that's provided, and then we publish that paper. We also provide webinars on select projects. So those are ways that we can share the impact that those projects could have.
Jump into some.
Yeah. All right, well, perfect. Well, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Mike Morgando. He's going to talk about our gas operations program.
Fire. All right, does that work? Can everybody hear me? All right, cool. Before I start, other than Michael, is there anyone here from our advisory panel? And no? No? Online maybe? Okay. Okay, no, we have a very specific advisory panel that We were hoping to show up here today, but we have Michael, so. Oh, okay, cool. All right, 1, 2, 3. Great. All right. Okay, let's keep going. That's it. It's not advancing. Yeah, I don't know what happened here. Doesn't want to go. There it goes. Okay. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Mike Morgando, and I am the Gas Engineering Manager at SoCalGas. Oh, thank you. Over the Research and Technology team, and I'll be speaking on behalf of the Gas Operations RD&D team today. This team is dedicated to supporting our core business of delivering natural gas safely, reliably, and at an affordable price. All 4 of our initiatives support research and development efforts for storage, transmission, and distribution operations. So for context, the Transmission Operations Group is responsible for bringing gas into the state of California. The storage team or group is responsible for storing that gas. We don't do any production. And then finally, the distribution group is responsible for the network you guys are most familiar with. This is what delivers gas to your home and your local businesses. And I do what you said not to do, man. I can't advance the slide here. I'm gonna get it. I got it. Thanks, Susan. Thanks, sir. All right, the gas operations team is focused on 4 initiatives. By addressing technology gaps identified by our internal subject matter experts, or SMEs, each one of these initiatives aims to improve affordability, safety, reliability, or air quality. We collaborate closely with our SMEs to understand the future state of our business and identify barriers to achieving it. Equally important is our close collaboration with the industry. By working through research consortia and collaborating with California utilities and utilities across the country, we are uniquely positioned to evaluate technology in the broader RD&D community and represent California priorities when developing projects. Partnering with consortia enables us to tap into broad industry expertise while remaining selective in our involvement, focusing solely on projects that benefit California ratepayers. In fact, through consortia participation last year, Gas Operations RD&D was able to leverage ratepayer funds at a ratio of 13.5 to 1, meaning we were able to conduct 13.5 times more research for every ratepayer dollar spent. Worked that time. Yeah, okay, great. CPUC and state policy are shaped by important issues affecting Californians. In turn, the RD&D program at SoCalGas is shaped in part by the emerging regulations that govern how we do business. On the slide, I'm showing several policy drivers that inform the gas operations RD&D initiative specifically, but instead of going through each one, I want to point out just the central themes that make up these policies. So these are renewable natural gas procurement, greenhouse gas reductions, improved air quality, and finally, infrastructure and public safety. As I move through the presentation, you'll see these themes echoed in the different gas system integrity initiatives and projects. I'm going to dive deeper into some, but I won't cover others, and you all will be receiving a copy of this presentation later. So this is the first of 4. So first up is environmental and safety. In this initiative, we examine the mutual impacts between our infrastructure and the environment, as well as the safety of nearby residents. So we are focused on safeguarding the public and the environment by increasing infrastructure safety and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. As an example, we're exploring new methodologies to prevent loss of containment due to third-party damages. This includes ruggedized plastic pipe for replacements and warning mesh barriers made of Kevlar as retrofits to our infrastructure. Ideally, these additional measures would prevent gas leaks if the pipeline is accidentally struck. For transmission pipeline, we're exploring technologies that utilize existing corrosion control systems that alert us if our pipeline is struck by a metallic object. This warning system could provide SoCalGas the opportunity to assess any potential damage done to its infrastructure in real time that otherwise may have gone unreported. In this initiative, we also focus on improving air quality. The use of compressors is essential in moving natural gas around our state. Our experts in compressor services are investigating predictive modeling for compressor emissions that can lower criteria pollutants by fine-tuning our compressor engines. This predictive model can also assist us in maintenance by identifying engines that are not performing correctly, alerting our technicians to perform maintenance activities prior to component failure. By performing planned maintenance, we are able to reduce costs associated with unexpected downtime. All right, so this is kind of hits on the point of the question, that the last one that Eric went in. This slide shows a summary of the anticipated ratepayer benefits and potential metrics for tracking the effectiveness of our RD&D program. So as Eric mentioned, these are potential metrics because we're in the process of framing these up. So we're still working this out between, other utilities in the state. So the three anticipated ratepayer benefits for this initiative are improved air quality, reduced greenhouse gas emissions and safety. And for this initiative, we're proposing the following effectiveness metrics: reduce greenhouse gas emissions from plastic damages that did not result in a loss of containment, reduce criteria pollutants associated with tuning our compressor engines, and near-miss tracking of unreported metallic equipment strikes. Okay, the next initiative under the gas system integrity theme is operations technology. This initiative is focused on improving the technology and the techniques that our workforce uses in their day-to-day jobs. This initiative is dedicated to advancing and developing techniques for construction, operation, and maintenance of our infrastructure. The challenge we face is finding ways to deploy advanced tools that enhance operational efficiency while ensuring they remain user-friendly for all employees. When it comes to construction, asphalt paving is one of the main drivers for costs. Our team is looking to reduce costs by evaluating a new methodology to attach wires for pipe locating and corrosion control. Using a new no-heat wire attachment method, we could reduce the number of excavations required for operations. Currently, to install a wire onto a pipeline, a typical 3-foot by 5-foot excavation is required, which then must be backfilled and repaved. Utilizing this new method of attachment, crews will be able to attach wires through existing access points, eliminating the need for costly paving. Another area of research we're targeting is subsurface imaging of acoustic, electromagnetic, and ground penetrating radar. This technology would allow us to locate our subterranean infrastructure without the requirement of physical connection to the pipeline for locating. Although these technologies are not new, we are working to make these technologies more compact, less cumbersome, and more intuitive for use by our employees. And then also included in the operations technology initiative is the area of cybersecurity. As we increase the efficiency of our workforce by automating and remotely operating our infrastructure, we must stay vigilant against unauthorized access to our systems. We intend to modernize our communication protocols and assess compatibility with our existing and planned equipment. All right, the three anticipated ratepayer benefits for this initiative are reduced greenhouse gas emissions, improved affordability, and improved reliability. For this initiative, we're proposing the following effectiveness metrics: calculating cost savings from construction and paving avoidance, tracking cost savings associated with locating inaccuracies and third-party damages, and calculating greenhouse gas reductions associated with those same activities. All right, next up, we have the System Design and Materials Initiative. This initiative focuses on modernizing our infrastructure and material compatibility. I know it's a lot, guys. Hang in there. There's a lot here. So, the gas infrastructure was built out on an as-needed basis over decades. This means that pipelines were constructed with different manufacturing and construction techniques like welding and coating, and different material properties. This could be different grades of steel, and in distribution, different types of plastics. Projects in this initiative address the diversity of material and construction and evaluate the compatibility of the components we install in our infrastructure, including pipes, fittings, protective coatings, and other components such as gaskets. One of the projects under this initiative involves our research to support renewable natural gas procurement targets. Our goal is to advance these procurement targets safely. This is demonstrated by the research we are doing to validate odorant compatibility with diverse RNG feedstocks. The fundamental way for the public to detect natural gas is by smell. The odorant is a safety precaution added by every natural gas utility. Our continued research to validate odorant compatibility supports our ongoing commitment to public safety. year-round corrosion control to our infrastructure, reducing costs and increasing reliability. Finally, under this initiative, we evaluate emerging technologies that will help us improve the safety of our business. As an example, we're exploring the use of ultrasonic meters for residential applications. Ultrasonic meters bring many improvements over our traditional residential diaphragm meters, but a critical feature would be our ability to remotely shut off the meter. This capability could substantially increase our response time when we receive odorant calls from homeowners. There we go. All right. The anticipated ratepayer benefits under this initiative are reduced greenhouse gas emissions, increased reliability, and increased safety. For this initiative, we're proposing the following effectiveness metrics: reduced operating costs associated with physical emergency response, reduced installation and maintenance costs associated with optimizing corrosion control practices, and reduced greenhouse gas emissions framed around our work to advance RNG procurement targets. All right, last one. Under the gas system integrity theme is system inspection and monitoring. This initiative focuses on two things. First, enhancing monitoring capabilities such as remote monitoring or real-time monitoring. And second, enhancing inspection tool capabilities or resolution. So SoCalGas operates a large infrastructure with over 100,000 miles of pipe and covering 24,000 square miles of service territory. The service territory spans diverse terrains and climates, all of which present unique challenges. With this initiative, we aim to achieve greater visibility into the health of our infrastructure with improved resolution and frequency at a lower cost. A research area that exemplifies improvement in both inspection and monitoring is the work we are doing with robotic inline inspection tools, or ILI tools. ILI tools are tools that traverse the inside of the pipeline, giving us data on the various pipeline attributes. To expand our monitoring abilities, we are looking to increase the range that robotic ILI tools can traverse from a single launch point. To accomplish this, we're actively supporting two separate work streams. First, increasing the communication range of the robotic tool, utilizing new retrievable range extenders. And second, increasing the distance the robotic tool can traverse by generating energy from the natural gas flow through the pipeline. From an inspection standpoint, we aim to improve the capability of these tools to better detect cracks, hard spots, and the condition of external coating by developing higher resolution sensors. Another piece of technology that we're refining under this initiative is real-time monitoring via our optical pipeline monitoring network. OPM consists of laying a fiber optic cable adjacent to a pipeline. By monitoring signals from the optical cable, we can detect ground movement, leakage, and third-party construction activity. This technology provides real-time monitoring. However, it is currently deployed in a limited capacity. This technology, I said that already. New efforts around OPM technology focus on driving down costs of construction and monitoring. Broad deployment of this technology is cost prohibitive. By making this technology more cost effective, we can expand the deployment of our monitoring network, increasing public and infrastructure safety. Okay. The anticipated ratepayer benefits for this initiative are improved affordability, operational efficiency, reliability, and safety. For this initiative, we're proposing the following effectiveness metrics: cost reductions associated with our ability to remotely monitor our infrastructure without the need for physical on-site presence, cost reductions associated with improved efficiencies for inspections. So for example, limiting the number of times we need to set up and relaunch our robotic tool, near miss tracking, so events that we detect remotely and intervene, and then successful demonstration of technology compatibility. So this would be tracking technologies that we successfully determine is compatible with our infrastructure and then possibly adopted or deployed. All right, now the neat part. Okay, cool. At this point in the workshop, I'd like to showcase a project that we supported last year. So this looks kind of neat. This reminds me of that movie Tremors. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but this is the Orpheus project, or Optimized Radar for Every Utility in the Street. This was a collaboration project through the Operations Technology Development Consortium, or OTD for short. This was a PHMSA-sponsored project that received $1 million in funding from PHMSA and then an additional $400,000 from the OTD collaboration. The primary objective of Orpheus technology is obstacle detection for horizontal directional drilling, or HDD construction techniques. So HDD construction is often referred to as trenchless construction. So with HDD, a construction crew, they dig 2 pits and then they horizontally drill between those 2 pits. And then you can install infrastructure below ground without having to trench. Traditionally, to avoid other substructures, dig alert or 811 is called. Substructures are located and marked, and then the construction crews come out and they hand expose them to confirm the depth. The traditional HDD drill is essentially blind and will continue to push forward until it reaches the other pit or it hits something it can't penetrate. So with the Orpheus technology, the operator is able to see underground using ground penetrating radar. And then with built-in safety features like automatic stop at predetermined distances, Orpheus enhances public safety and reduces operational costs by preventing damage to subterranean infrastructure. So the 4 design parameters for the Orpheus project were as follows: detect any size object at a minimum distance of 18 inches, automatically stop when impact is imminent. It must function at normal construction rates and not impede construction activities. And it needs to be universal enough to be integrated into all OEM HDD systems. So I'm happy to report this project was successful in achieving all 4 of these design parameters. And then the next step for this technology is to encourage adoption across all industries, not just natural gas. And then future vision for this would be autonomous HDD operations. So currently it automatically stops, but the operator is still controlling it. So next, I actually have a video that kind of demonstrates how this technology works, but I want to point out some things first. So the black square there, that's a diagram of the drill head. So the 2 white squares on the left, those are the actual sensors or antennas. So the one all the way to the left, this is this one right here that you're looking at. And that's the forward-looking antenna. And then the one on the side actually gives you a 360-degree view. So remember, like a drill, as it moves, it spins through the ground. So it gives you this kind of helical view of everything around you. So you get forward-looking and all the way around. So hopefully my video works here. Let's go. The plane? Oh no, kind of. Okay. So there's a little delay. But so with the first one, you see the sensor detect that first object. This is what the operator sees. So green, yellow, red. When it hits that red zone, when the distance goes in there, that's where the automatic stops happen. So again, sees the object right in front of it. Imminent impact, goes below it. Now on the second one, you might be wondering, why stop? It missed the object, right? So when we do subterranean excavation, there's grade separations that we must keep between different utilities. So it's important for us to know that we were deep enough and we're able to avoid that other utility. We don't want anything, in the future to happen. So again, backs up, hits the second pit, and that's your HDD operation. So, all right. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our ESJ panel folks that are here and online to ask for comments, and then I'll take public comments after that. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. I just have a question about the model that you just showed. Does the model require?
I'm sorry. We have a question here first, and then I'll take yours. I'm sorry. Maybe the microphone will be better. Okay.
So the model that you just showed, is that going to be utilized at some point for older homes in your service territory so that homeowners would understand maybe the quality of the pipes that are beneath their homes? And I ask this because my mother used to always be worried. She used to get this letter in the mail with the Southern California SoCal Gas logo that would say, your home is old, so your pipes are probably really old, and if you pay $5 a month, this will ensure that you will have proper maintenance in the future. And so for elderly people or for people who are living in old homes, like what is the plan, I guess, for monitoring?
Well, just a general comment on that. So in general, the utilities own all the pipeline up to the meter. So those letters she's receiving, those are typically for in the home. So it's somebody trying to sell them an insurance for, I've actually received those letters. So it's not really our infrastructure they're talking about. It's like what's in your house kind of thing. So Outside of the scope, so we would supply tools for separate programs, but we do have different programs like our distribution integrity management program. And we go through and we have a very comprehensive risk model. We replace aging infrastructure and things like that. That's typically how we do it. This would be a tool that they could use, if it gets adopted, hopefully it will.
You can understand how an elderly population would be confused and
Yes,
concerned.
yes, absolutely. Oh, wait, we had someone online. Can I jump to that one first?
Yes, thank you. I actually was wondering if the software you showed, if that requires a robust model to be built before use, or if it really detects everything real time underground.
The Orpheus? That's
Yes.
real. Yeah, that's real time.
Okay,
And-
that's not a model. It doesn't have it's not a model that has all the inputs, all the pipes and everything
Nope.
already populated.
Nope,
Wow.
could be used anywhere. And one of the key things, one of the key parameters of this project was to make sure it didn't actually impede construction. So there's software that has to process whatever it's reading. And there was a lot of work done, as I understand it, to speed up the process in the software so that it could actually work in real time and not impede operations.
Nice, thank you.
Sure.
There's another question in the chat. What specific real-time scour monitoring technologies are used by SoCalGas? How about the installation cost and monitoring cost?
So some of the real-time stuff that we're doing right now, I mentioned the OPM project. So this is a fairly expensive technology right now. And a lot of it has to do, the cable itself is very cheap, but powering this takes quite a bit, and it has to remain in a temperature-controlled room. It's like a little server room. So kind of ruggedizing that and making, bringing down the cost of that would allow us to expand this substantially. And I think right now, we have it in areas where either by convenience where we're doing construction and we can go ahead and install it, or areas we've determined that are pretty critical. But it's a really, really neat technology. Through fiber optics, you can tell if there's a leak. You can tell we've picked up people working over our pipeline through vibration. And it also is pretty successful in ground movement. So that's just, 1 degree away from pipeline movement. So it's a really good example of that technology. Let me go to Michael first. He's been very patient.
Hi, once again, Michael Burns with California Greenworks. Couple questions and feedback. One of which, in SB 1221, it's a decarbonizing priority neighborhoods.
Mhm.
Is that identified through CalEnviro?
You mean that screening, like the disadvantage? I don't know. That's a good question. We have a separate team, so we support research and things like that, but we have a whole planning team that focuses on that OIR and 1221.
The next question I had was in the the operational technology overview. You had mentioned in situ data loggers. Is that automated or people?
Oh, no, that's okay. That's interesting. Yeah, so I didn't cover that one, but that's an interesting one. Basically, when we fuse plastic together, there has to be a certain temperature and there has to be a certain time. So if you don't do it correctly and you don't follow the steps correctly, you get incomplete fusion. So these data loggers would actually measure that. So they're not people. It's like you connect it through different channels and it'll log. And it'd be a way for us to kind of QA. So that's something we're doing with the industry right now is a way to be able to QA that construction.
And the next feedback and the last one is probably relevant to all the other projects that are in this presentation. As far as the metrics and quantification goes, and your proposed metrics, I would challenge you to go a step further in that you incorporate human outcomes. So if you really want the ESJ aspect, you would throw in an easy ones like health, public health. That could be easily quantifiable and measured, economic development, educational things. But the more impactful would be to go to these communities and point blank ask them what outcomes are important to you and then you tie that into the research projects and you measure them that way.
Thank you.
Bill, you have, raised your hand, please feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you. My question was, I believe it's on that Orpheus drill head. Is that something that can be used with existing equipment as an attachment, or would it require an entirely new drill to be used?
So one of the design parameters was that it would fit all OEM HDD applications, so all the major manufacturers. It works with all of them. We
Great,
didn't want
thank
to, yeah, we didn't, we don't sponsor one company over another, right? We sponsor technology, so. Yes, sir.
Hello. Yeah, you mentioned the fiber optic cables that you plan to run, and hopefully that offsets some of the maintenance costs, I guess, of sending out people and checking on pipelines.
Mhm.
Do you have an estimated savings of that fiber optic? And would that savings be passed on to the ratepayers?
Ideally, yeah. So I don't have an estimated, like I said, the cost for installation is pretty steep. If we can drive down the actual cost of the what we call active monitoring, which is where all the servers are housed, because we do have another option where we call passive monitoring. So we can actually lay that cable, which is really cheap, and then we can go out and we can monitor, like we can hook up, we take a mobile van, hook up to it and see if anything's changed. So we can see if, there's strain. We just don't get that real-time component. We don't get the, if there's somebody out there right now. So there are ways we can make it cheaper in areas I think that are not as critical, I suppose.
Okay, thank you.
I have a similar question about the drilling. How often do the directional drills hit other utilities? How much of a problem is that? How expensive is that?
Anecdotally, my first job here was analyzing what we called gas losses. So I was hired in the early construction boom, and that's when all the telecom stuff was going in. Ranjiv knows, he was my first boss. Thanks, Ranjiv, for being here. And they were going like crazy. So it's people that are doing a lot of construction that don't really care about the consequences. So I would say it's slowed down tremendously since 2006, 2007, but it's cyclical, right? So if there's a lot of construction and the risk is worth not slowing your project down, it can be pretty substantial. Typically, we have 48 hours to mark our lines. So you want to dig in your home, you call 811. We get 2 days to come out and mark before you dig. Some people don't want to wait that long. So we have a whole damage prevention program with repeat offenders and things we keep on top of outside of RD&D.
Any other questions in the room? And just a reminder, please state your name and your organization before you ask your question.
Thank you, Eric Kirchhoff, SoCalGas. On the directional drilling, I can see how the gas lines, it's a pretty simple solution because we're always the deepest. So, but what happens if you are, jurisdictionally supposed to be between a couple? Is that technology smart enough for other utilities or other, other underground vehicles?
Yeah, it should. Anybody that does trenchless installation, it'll work. Okay, well, so I think I addressed what am I looking? All right. I think I addressed the public comments too. So next up, everybody's favorite, we have a break and then I'll be turning it over to Ciari Sosa.
Bowen, thank you so much for your attention today and for coming. I'm Dr. Ciari Sosa, and I am a Technology Development Manager in the Research, Development, and Demonstration team. I have worked with SoCalGas for over 20 years in engineering and operations technical support before coming to the Research, Development, and Demonstration team a couple years ago. I will be presenting 2 initiatives under this program that focus on technologies upstream of the pipeline system. The Decarbonized Gas Supply Program aims to reduce carbon emissions from the gas supply while keeping it safe, affordable, and reliable. To achieve this, the program focuses on developing and promoting new technologies to advance the production and storage of renewable gas to replace conventional pipeline gas, while addressing any resulting greenhouse gas emissions or criteria pollutants emissions through mitigation or capture for reuse or storage. The mitigation or capture steps should address some of the stakeholder feedback received so far in terms of how we will offset the impact of these projects. Policy drivers for this program include the CPUC biomethane procurement targets, which delineate specific requirements for investor-owned utilities to procure renewable natural gas or RNG, while in its phase 4, explore expanding renewable hydrogen by establishing an injection standard for natural gas pipelines. Other important state policy drivers include the California Air Resources Board Scoping Plan for Achieving Carbon Neutrality published in 2022, the Long-Term Gas Planning OIR and its associated Joint Agency Staff White Paper, and the 2023 Integrated Energy Policy Report by the California Energy Commission. First, I will start presenting a new initiative in this research plan proposal, the Gas and Energy Storage Initiative. This new initiative will focus on advancing technologies for large volume energy and gas storage. The Long-Term Gas Planning OIR Joint Agency Staff White Paper identifies the need for more research and innovation on cost-effective, long-duration energy storage, which will help advance dispatchable generation supplies such as biomethane and clean energy and clean renewable hydrogen fuel sources. The California Air Resources Board, in their 2022 Scoping Plan for Achieving Carbon Neutrality, sees large-scale hydrogen storage as a crucial component for integrating renewable energy sources, helping to balance supply and demand. The CARB 2022 Scoping Plan also encourages investment in research and development to improve hydrogen storage technologies, making them more efficient and cost-effective, at the same time enhancing California's future energy resiliency. Research projects in this area will increase the knowledge base to safely and efficiently store clean renewable fuels such as hydrogen. Examples of projects that can be included within the scope of this initiative are feasibility studies on geological storage of hydrogen, such as the one currently sponsored by the California Energy Commission, which we're looking forward to participate in collaboration with PG&E. Also, stimulation of geological hydrogen production, which has a consortia group led by ARPA-E Program Office in the Department of Energy, and several national labs, including 2 from California. Also, projects on cost-effective improvements on cryogenic technologies. In addition, development of transition energy carriers that reduce costs and space requirements is another potential area of research. Anticipated ratepayer benefits of this initiative include improved affordability, as large-scale storage allows for a balanced system management, resulting in reduction of price volatility, in addition to improved reliability and operational efficiency, since large-scale storage also provides resiliency and balance to a system with dynamic renewable resources. Potential metrics include cost reductions in capital equipment, cost reductions in maintenance and operations, including reduced energy usage, reductions in greenhouse emissions, and successful project results that advance technologies on their path to commercialization, raising their technology readiness level. To prevent unnecessary duplication of research efforts, SoCalGas RD&D maintains regular communication with peers at the California Energy Commission and other gas R&D programs in California. We discuss potential projects during regular meetings, and participation in consortia allow us to collaborate on projects with shared interests, bringing attention to the California market. By pooling resources with other utilities, we emphasize the differences between each service territory and their specific needs. Leveraging those differences, including existing infrastructure, operational experience, and access to demonstration sites for scale-up projects, illustrate the advantages of ongoing collaboration between SoCalGas R&D programs. These specifics were part of CPUC stakeholder feedback incorporated in this plan. The second initiative under the Decarbonized Gas Supply Program I will be presenting today is Low Carbon Fuel Technologies. This initiative aims to develop technologies to produce low carbon fuels to increase the supply of affordable and reliable gas for ratepayers. The low carbon fuel procurement targets set by CPUC were the catalyst to develop renewable natural gas production from initial research studies into the industry that it is today. This is a great example of how intentional research helped develop a path toward commercialization for a low carbon fuel such as renewable natural gas, even though more research is needed to lower the cost of interconnections. The next step in developing additional low carbon fuels is to apply the same strategy used for RNG to develop the hydrogen market for hard to electrify users. As CPUC under the biomethane procurement targets is also considering a hydrogen blending injection standard, research to support development of lower cost hydrogen production technologies will help industry be ready to provide affordable solutions. New technology developers in this area will benefit from SoCalGas's collaborative participation due to our experience in successful studies and successful demonstration projects that help develop the RNG ecosystem, including a demonstration project of an RNG conditioning technology at the Escondido wastewater plant, which is featured in an annual report and will be discussed at length in the Innovative Energy Usage presentation. This initiative will continue to advance the work conducted under previous research plans. Potential project concepts within the scope of this initiative include production technologies such as electrolyzers that can operate with dynamic loads without equipment degradation, cost-effective methane pyrolysis or electrified steam RNG reforming paired with point source carbon capture and technologies that reduce or eliminate NOx and other pollutants, and renewable natural gas production from organic or municipal waste or woody biomass, also paired with point source carbon capture and technologies that reduce or eliminate NOx and other pollutants. These options are identified as key production pathways in CARB's report on analysis of hydrogen in California for Senate Bill 1075. Also of importance are studies evaluating the cost of renewable gas interconnections. This represents a critical step to increase the proportion of RNG in our system with increased affordability, as we heard from feedback already received from multiple stakeholders. Anticipated ratepayer benefits include improved affordability, as technologies that reduce the cost of low carbon fuel production can help reduce the financial impacts on all ratepayers, including low-income communities disproportionately burdened by increasing energy costs. In addition, once industrial processes that produce or refine fuels using heat from combustion of fossil sources replace these energy sources with advanced heating systems using low-carbon fuels, the result can be a potential reduction in local pollutant emissions and improved air quality. New technologies that are more efficient in processing biomass and organic waste conversion into renewable natural gas can serve a similar purpose, reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Potential metrics include cost reductions in capital equipment, cost reductions in maintenance and operations, including reduced energy usage, reductions in greenhouse gas emissions and criteria air pollutant emissions, and successful project results that advance technologies on their path to commercialization, increasing their technology readiness level. To prevent unnecessary duplication of research efforts, SoCalGas RD&D maintains regular communication with peers at the California Energy Commission and other gas utilities R&D programs in California. We discuss potential projects during regular meetings, and participation in consortia allow us to collaborate on projects with shared interests, bringing attention to the California market and the specific needs of each service territory. Leveraging utilities' existing infrastructure and experience in operations and the access to demonstration sites for scale-up projects exemplify the advantages of having gas R&D programs such as SoCalGas as a research collaborator. These specifics were part of CPUC stakeholder feedback incorporated in this plan.
And now I will pass it to my colleague Ethan Simonov, who will be presenting a couple of projects under this initiative.
Thanks, Ciari. Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to briefly spotlight a couple of projects that we have worked on in previous years that support work under this initiative or help support this initiative's goals and benefits. So there are many ways to produce hydrogen from a variety of feedstocks, whether that's for storage or transportation. Many end uses require additional compression once hydrogen has been produced. Compression can, in many cases, cost as much as the production itself. And mechanical compression equipment that's used to bring the hydrogen up to the appropriate pressures is prone to failure, which can impact system reliability and overall energy costs. One way we've addressed these challenges is through a project with researchers at the California Institute of Technology, Caltech, to develop a new approach to producing hydrogen directly at high pressure, which is suitable for storage or end use. In this technology, hydrogen is compressed chemically rather than mechanically, which simplifies system design and lowers costs. The researchers have currently successfully demonstrated this technology at laboratory scale in batch mode, and work is currently underway to develop a continuous reactor. Importantly, the researchers have estimated that this technology could reduce compression costs by an order of magnitude. Another way in which we have tried to address energy affordability, particularly for hydrogen, has been through addressing electrolyzer manufacturing processes. In this project, we worked with a startup company based in California called Evolo, which manufactures and works on technology in the anion exchange membrane electrolyzer space. Our D&D supported efforts with Evolo's technology to allow it to be manufactured using roll-to-roll processes, which can greatly increase the rate at which these systems can be produced, which can also drastically reduce their capital cost for the electrolyzer stacks that they produce. In addition, Evolo's technology is able to use 100% domestically produced and earth-abundant materials, which can help to mitigate supply chain risks and avoids relying on imported critical minerals that can be used in other energy technologies. In addition to addressing electrolyzer costs and improving affordability for hydrogen, technologies such as this also allow for intensified production capacities, which is critical to being able to accelerate commercial deployment at large scale to help address climate goals. Now I'd like to ask the members of our ESG advisory panel to provide feedback on the proposed initiatives covered in this section. And just as a reminder, those include the energy and gas storage and low carbon fuel technologies initiatives. And just a reminder for folks in the audience and on Teams, we'll be requesting, if you're not part of the ESG advisory panel, we request you to hold your comments or questions until the end of this section. And then after we've heard from our panel, we'll open up the floor to the rest of the public.
I'm Tom Knox of Valley Clean Air Now. Thank you for the presentation. This is really more feedback than questions. These are both very interesting experiments. As an organization, we're really concerned about seeing an increased use of and affordability of both low carbon fuels and hydrogen, especially in the San Joaquin Valley, which has been very controversial. And we understand there's unknowns, but we really respect the idea that you're doing active experiments in this. The mystery around these issues have inhibited wider scale rollout, and we would encourage SoCalGas to be promoting the potential benefits of these things, the fact that there are solutions that appear feasible, what the potential benefits of those are, how this fits in with California's overall carbon goals, the feasibility of those carbon goals without this kind of advancements. We really salute SoCalGas's willingness to experiment. These seem like very promising experiments, and we just encourage more of this and a greater understanding among stakeholders of the potential benefits of these types of experiments. So thank you.
Thank you for your feedback. Any other questions or comments from the advisory panel?
Hi, Michael Burns with California Greenworks. I just wanted to know what the process is after the feedback comes. How flexible are these research programs and plans?
Probably want to.
Like if the panel
You mean
says,
generally to the overall research plan that we're presenting, or
Yeah.
specifically this program?
yeah, the research plan.
Yeah.
The value of
Microphone.
this exercise is we want your feedback, and this is what informs our plan. So all these things are not set in stone, and the more feedback we get, the more we can tailor it to the people of California and what they really want.
Yeah, just a reminder, we'll be accepting feedback until, I think it's May 12th, which 2 weeks from now. So if you have more substantial comments, you can provide written comments, and we'll take all that into consideration prior to submitting our final research plan to CPUC.
In which case, I'm going to be a broken record and just challenge you guys to go beyond the metrics and outcomes you have right now to really delve into ESJ.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate those comments. Any other feedback in the room or online from our ESJ advisory panel? Are there any questions online or not yet? Okay, I think we can move it over to the general public. We'll start with a question from online, and then if there are other questions in the audience, we'll take some.
Thank you. Please remember to post your questions in the Q&A session, and if you have issues, you might use the chat as well. We have one question, and what is or are the hydrogen cost targets for the Low Carbon Fuel Technologies program and for other hydrogen and hydrogen admixture projects within the SoCalGas research program?
So I think, this is something we think about a lot. There have been national targets set for hydrogen production. So something that we kind of look to as our, I would say, North Star for hydrogen costs is the DOE Hydrogen Shot initiative, which is to achieve cost of hydrogen at $1 per kilogram in the next decade or so. This is a very ambitious goal. I mean, depending on the way that hydrogen is produced, there are a lot of different factors to consider on both the equipment used to produce it, as well as what's the energy source that goes into making the conversion or extracting the hydrogen or producing the hydrogen. So, whether that's from bio waste, organic waste, whether it's from water, whether it's from other sources, there are a range of current costs. Electrolyzer costs are very, very tied to electricity. So, as an example, one of the research areas that we really try and focus on is how we can better pair hydrogen production technologies such as electrolyzers to renewable energy, directly integrate those with renewable energy supply. So especially in California, many people are probably familiar with the duck curve, or basically when there's more renewable energy being produced in the state than we can use, a lot of that energy just goes wasted. But one of the things we try and think about is how can we store that energy cost effectively, since basically the electricity at that point can be as close to zero cost. So those are kind of how we think about trying to address that, and a number of other challenges, or how we think about trying to address costs, especially given that electricity charges, if you're thinking about grid electricity, it can be very, very expensive. So we really try to think about what are the biggest obstacles and strategies to lower costs to make those fuels affordable.
Thank you. Great answer. Any more questions?
Sure, yeah, thank you. Oh, yeah, so we have a few sort of questions we can use to prime you, help you think of any feedback you may have. So we're seeking input on these proposed programs, and appreciate any comments or suggestions here, and if that's missing drivers, missing research gaps, improvements on this approach that can help us make this a better program. As my colleagues were mentioning, we really are wanting to take this feedback into consideration as we refine this plan and submit it to our regulators. So some examples, of potential questions are listed here, but obviously open to any others. One in the back.
Tom Knox of Valley Clean Air now again. Is there any risk of loss of federal funding with your hydrogen research or any other?
So yeah, thanks for the question. And that's, it's an interesting challenge that we've been aware of. I'll say our funding for our program comes through the state. And so this is a process for us to make sure our program's aligned with the CPUC so that we can be authorized to use ratepayer funds to support these research initiatives. That being said, we do partner with a lot of national labs who receive federal funding. And so as my colleague Eric Cohen mentioned, we're evaluating a lot of these changes in federal guidelines. Our program is not the direct recipient of any federal funding, so I can say that for now, at least no projects we have, we're not being directly funded, but we do work, sometimes co-funding projects with the Department of Energy. So it's something we're evaluating, definitely.
So Michael Burns, California Greenworks. I guess as you guys are giving out these funds to your partners, I would sort of try to challenge them to do 2 new research questions. One of which, how is the community benefits? Like, what are the community benefits? And the other one, do these community benefits promote equality or equity?
Thank you for the feedback. Yep. I think we'll definitely take that into consideration. And if you have any other written feedback, please provide that. But thank you.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a little bit of a challenge for our research collaborators that receive federal funding. But we're looking into ways to make it work for the benefit of our state, of course. And thank you for the input. I have another question from the chat. Is SoCalGas proposing research into material compatibility of early generation steel pipelines, low toughness wells with hydrogen or hydrogen blends? This is a great question, and I'm going to let the gas operations manager answer to that.
That'll work. I'd say that the short answer is yes, but not necessarily under my team directly. So, we have several different groups that are looking at hydrogen and its effects. So under the gas operations RD&D program, we don't typically fund hydrogen-related research that's in the materials realm. So we do a little bit around safety. But, we've been directed by the state that we don't want to be duplicative with other applications that have been filed by our company. So we don't specifically, but that research or work is going on in other areas of the company.
Any other questions online or in the room?
Natasha Dowling, Capgemini. I'm glad to see network geothermal on the list of additional questions, and I would also like to see fusion energy. I know it's nascent, but it does offer consistent power supplies, so love to see the West Coast utilities.
Thank you for that feedback. Last call for questions before we move on to the next section. And just a reminder, we'll have another opportunity for questions at the end of the session. So, if you think about a pressing hydrogen production question, and you'll have another opportunity to ask that. So I'll be passing it to my colleague, Matt Grigori now, who will be discussing the Innovative Energy Utilization Program.
Thank you, Ethan. How's my audio? Good. Great. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Good morning. Still morning. Matt Gregori, Technology Development Manager on the SoCalGas RD&D team. Before I begin, I want to recognize Heather Gordon, who's doing all the heavy lifting around here. If it weren't obvious to you, this is a new format for us. Typically, we're all online. So this is the first year that we've tried to do this hybrid, which meant we had to reevaluate our online system and our Q&A and book the room and figure out the camera. And Heather has been instrumental in that. In her role, she is something of a Hollywood movie producer / second grade class mom. So she does great work. Thank you, Heather. My pronouns are he, him, and I will be presenting the Innovative Energy Utilization Program under the decarbonization theme. The Innovative Energy Utilization Program is a newly formed program that combines several legacy RD&D programs and incorporates the guidance we have received from the CPUC over the last few years. This program is designed to advance new technologies that reduce end users' costs while supporting California's climate goals. Research focuses on benefits to entities operating downstream of the meter that use natural gas, renewable natural gas, or hydrogen, and may include SoCalGas's facilities and customers. The Innovative Energy Utilization Program consists of 3 initiatives: building and facility systems, energy reliability and resilience, and low carbon fuel integration. Our initial proposal included one additional initiative, operational support equipment. That initiative was designed to advance new technologies that enable the most cost-effective decarbonization of the equipment used to support SoCalGas's field operations, including power-operated equipment, heavy-duty construction equipment, and over-the-road vehicles. In response to feedback from Energy Division staff, we removed this initiative from subsequent proposals. Our key policy drivers include the CPUC's long-term gas planning rulemaking, which identified the need for additional research in power generation, industry, and other hard-to-electrify applications. Furthermore, in SoCalGas's 2024 general rate case decision, the CPUC indicated that the RD&D program is the appropriate venue to evaluate technologies including microgrids, fuel cells, hydrogen, and fuel cell electric vehicles. This program also supports several of the Disadvantaged Communities Advisory Group, their 2025 priority areas, including affordability, building and industrial decarbonization, and electricity reliability, resiliency, and load flexibility. As mentioned earlier today, in today's presentation, connecting with the research community and sharing the results of our work are of vital importance to our team. Based on feedback from the CPUC's DACAG, I want to highlight again that we endeavor to make the results of our work as available to the public. For example, throughout the year, we disseminate information through our quarterly newsletters, the RD&D website, research webinars, publications, public events, a dedicated YouTube channel, and LinkedIn. We have recently been uploading project reports to zenodo.org. These platforms allow us to provide updates on our activities, news about projects, share information on funding and grant opportunities. If you are active on LinkedIn, we highly recommend following the RD&D account to stay informed. First up, we have the Building and Facility Systems Initiative. This initiative advances new technologies that cost-effectively reduce emissions from California's buildings and facilities, which account for 68% of California's gas consumption. The work in this subprogram is relevant to SoCalGas given the large number of facilities and square footage managed by the utility. Research is needed to identify, develop, and test new technologies to help reduce emissions from our facilities and deploy these technologies across our service territory. Research in this initiative could include reducing direct emissions from boilers, water heaters, HVAC systems, and industrial process equipment, energy efficiency, load flexibility and thermal energy storage, building envelope technologies. This initiative will continue and advance work begun under previous research plans. For example, we've been working with the CEC to field demonstrate advanced window retrofits to help our ratepayers reduce energy usage. This initiative would provide additional support to complete this work, which includes a case study to understand the potential benefits of deploying this technology in environmental and social justice communities. Based on feedback from the CPUC's DACAG, this initiative will not seek to conduct research on gas-fired air conditioning. Pursuant to guidance from CPUC Energy Division staff, investments in research for the industrial sector shall not exceed 24% of the RD&D budget. The anticipated ratepayer benefits of this initiative include emissions reduction, improved affordability, and operational efficiency. Potential metrics to track include customer bill savings, reductions in energy consumption, reduction of O&M costs, and reduction in emissions. Next up is the Energy Reliability and Resilience Initiative. This initiative develops and integrates cost-effective, low-emissions energy resources designed to keep ratepayers and critical infrastructure powered during extreme weather, natural disasters, and grid outages. While the private market is developing power generation and microgrid technologies, it is not necessarily focused on ensuring affordability, accessibility, or alignment with California policy and ratepayer needs. The relevance of this research is demonstrated by the fact that the California diesel generator population increased by 22% from 2019 to 2021 as a result of increasingly frequent public safety power shutoffs. Furthermore, SoCalGas has 91 backup generators powered by various fuels currently deployed at our facilities throughout our service territory. Research areas include low emissions power generation, combined heat and power optimization, microgrid control systems, and integrating those solutions with on-site energy storage solutions. This initiative will also continue and advance work begun under previous research plans. For example, we are working with a large manufacturer to add electrolyzer capabilities to a highly deployed fuel cell platform. The reversibility of the new system allows customers to integrate these fuel cells into microgrids for additional energy reliability and long-duration energy storage. This initiative would support continued development of a reversible fuel cell product ready for commercialization. The anticipated ratepayer benefits of this initiative include energy reliability, improved affordability, and safety. Potential metrics to track include reductions in the number, frequency, and duration of power outages. Additional metrics include customer bill savings, deployment of cost-effective DERs, and reduction in emissions. Last up for me, we have the Low Carbon Fuel Integration Initiative. This initiative advances end-use equipment capable of incorporating low-carbon fuels, including renewable natural gas and hydrogen, in order to facilitate the most equitable transition to a low-carbon future for California. Low-carbon fuels can be a complementary pathway to electrification and may be particularly useful for hard-to-electrify applications. RD&D efforts are necessary to ensure that low-carbon fuels do not negatively impact ratepayers' end-use equipment. Research areas could include assessing impacts of low-carbon fuel integration on product quality in the metal refining industry, equipment retrofits to accommodate the unique chemical and physical properties of low-carbon fuels, and optimizing systems to use low-carbon fuels while minimizing emissions. This initiative will also continue and advance work begun under previous research plans. For example, we have demonstrated an early-stage surface-stabilized combustion system that can accommodate low-carbon fuels while meeting increasingly stringent air quality regulations. This initiative would support the advancement of this technology towards commercialization with an established appliance manufacturer. It is important to note once again that pursuant to guidance from the CPUC Energy Division staff, investments in research for the industrial sector shall not exceed 24% of the RD&D budget. The anticipated ratepayer benefits of this initiative include improved affordability and reduced emissions. Potential metrics to track include reductions in emissions, reduction of O&M costs, and reduction in capital costs. CPUC staff provided feedback on this initiative that requested we demonstrate our coordination with key stakeholders, particularly other R&D administrators, in identifying and targeting needs and gaps in the market. I'd like to highlight a few of the ways that my team coordinates with key stakeholders, including the California Gas R&D administrators, other researchers, and most importantly, the SoCalGas customers facing the challenge of meeting California's ambitious climate goals. As you have heard previously, we meet up with the other California Gas R&D administrators, the CEC, PG&E, and Southwest Gas, every 2 weeks to share updates and discuss research results. Each year, we conduct a targeted outreach campaign to solicit feedback from the gas R&D admins, as well as other researchers in the gas R&D community. My team routinely participates in SoCalGas's Customer Decarbonization Council, or CDC. The CDC is a roundtable of customer representatives from various hard-to-decarbonize companies, facilitated by SoCalGas, to explore solutions supporting decarbonization efforts. This helps us engage with SoCalGas's customers to identify specific technical challenges or operational constraints they are facing on their decarbonization journey. We track the efforts of several research consortia engaged in low carbon fuel integration work, including GTI Energy's Hydrogen Technology Center, which brings together top-tier subject matter experts, thought leadership, extensive labs and facilities, and the experience of decades of successful hydrogen projects. Utilization Technology Development, a not-for-profit, utility-directed organization that conducts near-term applied scientific research and development. UTD members include 23 gas utilities across North America. And the Low Carbon Resources Initiative, a collaboration between EPRI and GTI Energy designed to address the need to accelerate development and demonstration of low and zero carbon energy technologies. Finally, my team leverages our extensive network, which includes researchers at national labs, top universities, original equipment manufacturers or OEMs, clean tech startups and accelerators, and other California utilities like SDG&E and SoCal Edison. We work exceptionally hard to ensure that we don't unnecessarily duplicate research and that our research targets the specific needs of SoCalGas's customers and communities. Before I finish up, I want to share an RD&D success story, a story that I think really highlights the value of patience when developing new energy technologies. Today, renewable natural gas is a decarbonized fuel characterized by its ultra-low or negative carbon intensity and drop-in capability with existing natural gas infrastructure and end uses. It is widely used across California in transportation, power generation, and heating applications. In 2010, however, it was a whole different world. Apple had just released its first iPad. Ariana Grande was just getting her start on Nickelodeon. And here in California, many RNG project developers doubted that it was technically possible or financially feasible to upgrade biogas to the pipeline quality standards SoCalGas had set in Rule 30. In response to these challenges, SoCalGas RD&D conducted a demonstration project at the Hale Avenue Resource Recovery Facility, or HARF, located on the grounds of the City of Escondido wastewater treatment plant. At the heart of the system was an advanced pressure swing absorption system, or PSA, which separates methane from other digester gas constituents, such as carbon dioxide, water vapor, nitrogen, and silicon compounds. And it worked. The HARF project demonstrated that we could upgrade biogas to meet SoCalGas's stringent gas quality standards. Since then, RNG projects interconnected to SoCalGas's pipeline have proliferated prodigiously. In 2017, the CPUC directed California's gas utilities to implement at least 5 dairy RNG projects. Those projects began coming online beginning in 2019. In 2018, the CPUC recognized the value that RNG could provide in decarbonizing California's energy system and ordered the gas utilities to begin procuring RNG for core customers. And all of this had its humble beginning in 2010 at a small RD&D project in a field behind a wastewater treatment plant in Escondido, California. According to the commercial development manager for RNG at SoCalGas, this was the most important project for RNG market development in California. So I want to take the opportunity to thank the CPUC for its continued support of SoCalGas's RD&D program. Who knows what breakthrough will come out of our program next? And with that, I'd like to open it up to our ESJ advisory panel for feedback, comments, and questions. Mike, should I just go ahead? Should we just start with you? For the record.
Michael Burns, California Greenworks. I just wondered if you could go over the selection process of how you choose the research partners you work with.
We employ what I like to call a concierge proposal service. So we work with researchers to develop the research projects. In this research plan, we identify some research needs and the initiatives that we want to pursue. And then we will work with researchers, whether they're at universities, national labs, OEMs, startups, to develop the research project and design the project in a way that meets the needs of the technology the state of readiness for the technology and the problem statement that it's addressing for our customers. And then once that project concept has been developed, we run it through a sort of standardized review process where we open it up to the RD&D team to provide feedback and comment. And we go through that a couple of times to make sure that the project is fine-tuned and hits all of the marks that we want to hit.
Just to make it clear, and I know this was mentioned before, previous meetings, but sorry. Just the funding pathway, you're sort of a pass-through grant to subrecipients.
We have a budget that has been authorized through our general rate case. And then we provide that funding through contracts with researchers. So we might do a project with UCLA, go Bruins, in which case we would contract with UCLA to conduct a project. We would write a contract that has specific requirements, a timeline, deliverables, and a budget associated with that.
Could you, we do in-house projects as well, just to be clear. So we do partner with people, but sometimes if it's something that's just unique to California, SoCalGas specifically, we will go ahead and partner with our internal SMEs to execute research projects.
And also, depending on the project, we may be more involved. So if we're demonstrating a project, for example, at one of our bases, we may help do construction services, engineering, technical advisory services, et cetera. So it really depends on the project.
Tom Knox of Valley Clean Air now. On the last example of RNG being able to be fed into pipelines in San Joaquin Valley, I remember 10 years ago having a bunch of meetings about what can possibly be done with the amount of RNG that was being produced at that point. If it couldn't be pipelined, and the solutions that were required were incredibly elaborate, and it did not seem viable. This seemed to be a major problem. So this is a really significant step forward that it can be pipelined. And I think that examples like this of things being able to be commercialized and the changes that brings about is really significant in terms of California actually being able to meet decarbonization goals, as well as all these other issues, landfills, all the related challenges that are being solved, and the level of coordination it takes to then be able to use the outputs. So that I commend SoCalGas for pursuing that project. And I guess it will be interesting to see the relative benefit then of the outcome there. Since then, how much RNG has been able to be pipelined, how much activity has that enabled due to the RNG being able to be easily kind of offtake from the producers. It seems like that's a story that would be beneficial to tell the wider decarb world. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the comment. You're actually in luck because a longer and more detailed description of this project is available in the 2024 R&D annual report, which is available on the RD&D website. And so please visit the website, download the report, check out the Spotlight project. And we do have some data in there about how much RNG has been put on the pipeline and the equivalent emissions reduction associated with that. But thank you for the comment.
I'll be adding a link to the RD&D website to the chat right now.
Do we have any other questions from the ESJ advisory panel before we open it up to general Q&A? All good? We put a few inspirational questions here, but let's open it up to the public to talk about the Innovative Energy Utilization Program. If you don't mind, remember, identify yourself and your organization, please.
Okay. This is Brian Kwok with ANA Energy, and kind of three questions. We're an OEM. Three questions.
All right.
I've got the mic.
I hope you have them, you keep them in mind because I won't be able to track three questions. But
So as an OEM, we're constantly looking at various new technologies in power generation and energy storage. So how do we get involved? Luckily, I'm sitting to somebody that kind of steering me a little bit, but how do we get involved? Number one. Number two, we have a couple different locations, one here in Orange County, and then one in Nevada. So we have engineers in kind of both locations looking at how do we implement some of this new power generation energy storage technology. We are geared towards mobile applications. So that'd be kind of like a multifaceted sub-question. But we're also looking at stationary applications as well. And third one is we're also looking at multiple fuel sources. So whether it be RNG, hydrogen, biodiesel, renewable, ethanol, whatever is available, that's what we want to test. So how do we kind of circle back the wagons to figure out how does a company like us, we're not a huge company, but we're not so small where we don't have any resources. And then we can go through the funding stuff as the questions come.
Yeah. So yeah, just in general for everyone, you can reach out to the RD&D team at rddinfo@socalgas.com. We're going to put all of our contact information up at the end. Like I mentioned, we're a concierge-driven program. So if you send us your information, what you're interested in, we can connect you with the right team and the right project manager to start talking about project opportunities. You've seen the initiatives that we presented today, so I would highly recommend focusing on the research areas that we've identified in this research plan. With respect to your locations, we love doing work with California businesses. We have been guided by the Public Utilities Commission to do all of our work in California. So we want to do work here in California. We want to be in Southern California in SoCalGas's service territory. Now, we're not explicitly limited there, but that's where we like to work. We want to address our customer needs. So what are the needs of the customers that we serve? And what are the challenges that they're facing? And what technologies can we bring to bear to address those challenges? So that's what we want to work on. And then what was the third one? I told you I wouldn't be able to keep three.
Yeah, we also work with multiple fuels. So
with respect to fuels, so we're primarily interested in natural gas and renewable natural gas and hydrogen. We want to provide technologies that will benefit our ratepayers. So those are folks that are using natural gas or renewable natural gas right now. Thank you for the comment and questions.
Any questions online?
Any other questions in the room? Comments, feedback? Or online?
Don't forget you can raise your hand online as well.
Hello, my name is David Barakoff, independent consultant, and I was personally very happy to see the SoCalGas RD program is focusing on customer solutions, particularly, and I saw the word microgrid. What I'm hearing from, I know Michael, you had originally commented, hey, let's talk with the customers, right? Well, I talk with quite a few commercial industrial customers. Increasingly, they're concerned about rising energy costs, particularly electricity rates in California, and they're looking at ways to reduce those costs. One of the things they want to do, quite frankly, is they want to drastically reduce their dependence on the grid, and in some unique cases, eliminate, actually disconnect from the grid. But that's kind of hard. So I like the idea of SoCalGas continuing to think very creatively about more energy customized solutions, including microgrids and other types of fuel sources, fuel cells, storage, batteries, solar thermal as well, maybe ORC, organic ranking cycle systems, anything to really help customers to really look at a holistic overview in terms of how to reduce, how to optimize their energy cost in a way that's going to help them survive the turbulent economic conditions in California. So that was my main focus in your area. So thank you.
Great. Thank you for the comment. Really appreciate it.
No, the question came up about the availability of the slides afterwards. Is that going to be on that?
They were linked at the chat at the very beginning. I can link them again in a moment. So they will be in the chat. I can also email everybody. If you email rdndinfo@SoCalGas, the email I just put into the chat, I can also send you the copy of the slides. You can also see on your screen right now, if you use your phone, you can also use that barcode to email us to get more information. But yes, we can definitely send you more information. Name.
Catherine Winnies, Orange County Conservation Corps. I'm just wondering, with all of the research and development that you're doing, do you have any kind of preliminary kind of estimates as to the lower cost that it could mean to customers, especially those in marginalized communities? Any kind of understanding that it would lower it by 10%, 15%, what stage?
So I guess the short answer is no, we don't have a general quantification. We're working now to kind of implement that into each of our projects. And given sort of the varying what we call technology readiness level of these technologies, it's difficult to forecast those things. But with each project that my team does, we always try to implement what we call a techno-economic analysis. Because my experience has been every time you present a new and interesting technology to a group of stakeholders such as this, inevitably the question comes up, how much does it cost? And how much money are we going to save? And so we try to implement that in every single research project. How much is this technology going to cost? What do we think the cost could come down to in the future? Again, we're working on early stage technology sometimes where it's difficult to forecast that, but we can use standard techniques like learning curve kind of assessments to say, well, if we were building 1 million of these a year, we think the cost would come down this much. And then and then extrapolate that to a bill savings or identify kind of what the cost savings would be. We are trying to quantify that data. But thank you for the feedback. I think it's important to share that is an important part of how we develop our projects is we try to look at all of these different aspects and make sure that is being addressed by the researchers.
Thank you. One question from the chat is, can you provide a schedule on when the request for proposals will be issued and due dates, decision dates? Kind of tied to what you already explained, but.
Yeah, so we do rolling enrollment. I think it's the best way to characterize it. We don't do RFPs. This makes our program distinct from the California Energy Commission that does grant funding opportunities. We find that it's more appropriate for our program to look at technologies when they're ready. I hate the idea that if your technology is 1 month too early or 1 month too late for a grant funding opportunity that we couldn't pursue research on it. So we try to stay a little bit more flexible. And so, as I said, it's sort of a concierge program. Reach out to the team, rddinfo@socalgas.com. We'll connect you with the right team members to help develop a proposal and meet you where your technology needs are. Ethan has a comment.
Ethan Siminoff, RD&D. This is part of our process currently to seek approval to begin new projects. So we don't have a clear due date or deadline for when we'll be able to start new projects. But once we gather all the feedback from this workshop and all the other activities we have planned about concerning this research plan and have that submitted, there's typically a time frame from the California Public Utilities Commission. They'll respond to us with additional feedback and then ultimately issue a final resolution that authorizes us to spend funds on all the research initiatives that they approve that you heard about here today. So, once we receive that is when we'll be able to initiate new projects. So that's sort of the general timeline. I think, I can't speak to specific dates. Maybe somebody else can.
Well, we're planning to submit this current research plan that we're talking about today in June, and then it will be up to the Public Utilities Commission to approve that. We're hoping to have an answer before the end of the year.
And there's another question in the chat for Mike, for the gas operations team. Are you currently using any GPR ground penetrating radar for leak detection?
I would say that currently, no. We do have a separate emissions RD&D team that's kind of out of scope for this workshop, and they do have non-traditional technologies that we use, including acoustic, which is really neat. It uses a series of microphones to visualize ground leaks. We just looked at something called a methane flashlight, where it looks like a flashlight and it's a little laser, and it'll tell you if you have a leak somewhere. So there's some interesting technologies out there right now to detect leaks, but I don't think GPR is one we've evaluated.
Thank you, Mike. Any more questions in the room or virtually?
I guess, David, I just wanted to, because I had another thought about your comment. With respect to all of these technologies, and you mentioned microgrids, what's really important for us as a program administrator is to identify what the problem statements are around a particular technology. So as you all are thinking about these things and the initiatives that we've proposed, what is the challenge that Californians are facing with, say, deploying more microgrids? The famous statement is, if you've seen one microgrid, you've seen one microgrid, right? They're all bespoke, custom built. And so we've had some interest in a sort of standardized control system for microgrids. But with all of these technologies, this could be really valuable feedback from the community, is sort of what is the key lever to pull to advance the technology, or what is the key challenge that a customer or project developer is facing? Like in the example we gave with renewable natural gas, the project developers were facing this challenge that they really did not think it was feasible to meet the pipeline specifications, and were unwilling to put funding at risk in order to demonstrate that. And that's really the sandbox that RD&D likes to play in. So that type of feedback is very valuable. All right. Shall we wrap it up? Yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. That's going to wrap us up for the 2025 RD&D annual workshop. As a reminder, you have until May 12th to submit any feedback or further questions to rddinfo@socalgas.com. I think that slide is not in the slideshow, unfortunately, but I will, right after this, I will put up that slide. It's the previous one. Sorry about that. Oh, here it is. Okay, so again, here is our contact info. Again, please submit any comments by Monday, May 12th, 2025. We will stick around for a few minutes. If you have any final comments or need to copy down this information, I'll leave the link up. And other than that, thank you all for your time, whether you joined virtually or are here in person with us. We appreciate all the feedback and look forward to seeing you again next year.